Welcome to this new episode of our show. Today we have the pleasure of having Riccardo Panfoli. Riccardo is a global sales and operations and planning brand integration project manager with great experience in supply chain projects, both in the cosmetic and cable industries. Currently based in Paris and kind of working on really interesting projects that encompass demand planning, supply organization, launch of new products, and IT system integration. So I'm sure this is going to be an interesting. We kind of just realized that in the pre-meeting that we also met when we were children. So that was I guess an unexpected I guess but nice discovery. Riccardo, it's truly a pleasure to have you in our show.
Thank you,
And
Paolo.
maybe tell us a little bit more about your background and experiences.
Thank you, Paolo. Yes, I'm industrial engineer basis, so I'm Italian, as everybody can listen by my accent. I started my career in Italy when I get graduated in Florence first and Politecnico di Milano for my master. When I was in the university, I do also some internship during my thesis for the small enterprise. I always try to work on supply chain during also my university. But then when I finished my study, I discovered this experience was very, very great, human, great, but I need also to go in a larger scale in order to try to put in place what I've studied really in a complex system. So I start to work in L'Oreal when I finished in 2013 in the subsidiary of Italy when I was in fast-moving consumer goods for the supply chain, starting on the careers as a planner at the very beginning, and then I have a subcontracting manager for 2 years and a half, and this was my first season of my careers. And then after 4 years in Italy, I moved in France for another company that is Prismian, managing an S&OP project for a part of catalog that was make to stock. So we do a process, we integrate forecast for put in a system the 3 factories that was creating the products. And then in the last part of my career, the last 5 years, I moved back in the headquarters where I really work on S&OP for different, we say division for different business. Work for product for like professional products for hairdresser, and then now I move also for what we call luxury products, so parfum and about my planet. So I have this wide experience, and just in the last month I got also certification, was APIX certification for control product and inventory management in order to, after 10 years of cosmetic, do a sort of step back, try to understand which is the theory, and it's something that gives me now a wide vision of S&OP and supply.
Very interesting.
Thanks, Riccardo, for sharing. So let's start to dive into topics. So as you know, here we are in this show about to talk about globalization dynamics turning into like regionalization, and so supply chain and sustainability. But let's stay high at the very beginning. So how do you see globalization? How do you see the development of the globalization, considering what's happening like all around the world, in the past like 7 months, and probably more to come in the next months? If you see from a global to local trend, what do you see?
Yeah, like it's a wide question. Like globalization is changing a lot, but there are like a lot of stuff that are changing and some then remain the same. Like what is changing really in the world is that there is a new economic balance. We see new countries that are emerging, not only like just one country, but even like group of countries. We think about BRICS countries that are becoming more and more important, while on the other hand, Europe, that was driven the economy in the 20th century, in the first part of the 20th century. Now it's a little bit more flat. So this is something new. On the other hand, there are also changing on the new technology that is not changing because always the technology was there, but the frequency of the innovation is very, very high compared to the past. The energy mix is changing, and then there are well, because it's true that there is a fossil fuel is still important, but there is a renewable that are becoming more and more important, and there are like new event that there was not usually to have, like we have COVID, we have the crisis energy, but there are something that remain the same, like all the transport are mainly by sea. There are also something that remain all the same. There are some conflict tension on the Middle East that are like cyclical. There are the importance of growth to find the growth somewhere else. This is something that remains in globalization. To sum up, what I see is that if the company want to continue to grow, have to move, but have to move in a context where they are secure. So maybe in a territory where there are the same legislation, sometimes the same currency, sometimes the same rule. So a regionalization of the supply of the globalization is something that for me, for the reason that I said before, it's what we are moving.
Nice.
Very interesting. And I guess, of course, there are, different drivers, I guess, and Francesco was alluding in his question, I guess, to some of them, for example, the geopolitical, tensions that maybe are, becoming one of the reasons for, I guess, rethinking your supply chain, design. I guess based on your experience and the type of, value chains you study, you manage. I guess what type of drivers do you recognize as a particularly meaningful today?
Like on another valuation, what we see in particular is this change of the balance about the growth. What I said before, there are the new country that are growing faster and faster, and it's there where we are looking for the growth, and everybody has some specificity. I am experiencing in a beauty business. Beauty business is regional, I would say naturally, because the concept of beauty is a concept that is different among
From
the
place to
world,
place.
but it's the same in some region. And so what we see is that, especially for the high volume, you have to produce close where we sold, but not only for supply chain economy, but also because you have to know deeply what is inside, what is in the region. And what we are seeing is that not just one company is moving, but entire part of the value chain is moving, because you not only have to produce, but you have also to mitigate the risk. So you have an entire ecosystem, main company, suppliers, subcontractor that are moving in a certain region to understand better how to work and then moving on. We see also the increases on Dubai. This is it's cross. I don't think it's just not in beauty, but there are the new region that are becoming industrially interesting because there are entire part of value chains moving there.
Very interesting. There is a topic that I think is quite relevant in your sector, which is the topic of sustainability. As you know, Riccardo, I guess as a strategy professor, I specialize in sustainability, so I'm kind of really interested on that topic. I want to ask you if you kind of see, for example, ESG factors, so environmental, social governance factors, also in a way becoming a topic for rethinking, value chains or for managing value chains in a different way.
Yeah, definitely. I would say the sustainability now, it's really the topic. The topic of, like, I remember like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we start to talk about this in university. But when I arrived in the company, I remember like 10 years ago, we already see, we say in the future, the customer will buy with this sensibility around the world. So there are these big companies that are working on sustainability since and maybe sometimes and they also see the effect of the climate change because they are at this wide scale better than some country or some politicals, because sometimes you are just in your whole world. They know that they see this changing everything. So, and then this also became something inside the mission. We talk about a lot in 20th century about the vision and mission of the company. And I think the supply chain became really a mission for everybody. What I've seen in sustainability was at the very beginning, the customer now they say just on the product, maybe just the surface, like the recycle bottle, but this is just not what is really inside, because the dairy company, what they do a lot was to reduce the emission in production. So they do indirect emission, like dry factories. There was a lot of involvement to have the dry factory. There was an involvement to have rethink their factories in order to have just renewable energy, or indirect to do the heating district. So this was at the beginning for the big company became industry really sustainable because they give agile, that is important for the supply chain. And now the other step that I see is just to have a bigger ambition and try also to take their supplier, the subcontractor, to take there and bring there to reduce the emission. And this is a very big challenge because not everybody have the scale to this company to do a project on sustainability, or they don't have the data very clean to share the information. So now I think that the future will be the big company try to bring the small company at the level that everybody go in the same piece. And that will be fundamental for the cooperation and also to the other company to survive in this business where sustainability is really is not more another winner, it's another qualified. It's something that you have to be.
That's a good point. Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's a fair point, and also bridging well to the next question that is, from a ops, a standpoint, which are the most critical factors for value chains. And let me add also, another flavor here. So which are the next, the most important critical factor for value chain in ops, but also which are the shareholders, which are the dynamics, most impactful on the global value chain you manage?
For the operation point of view, in general, there are different points as well. I see, for example, the part of automation, IT. We don't talk a lot about now, but when I say before the evolution of IT, now in production we start to talk about total automation, but it's not only in production, even in distribution. I see just a video where China is already ready to do truck without driver, and this will change a lot because operation was say rude way was like serve the customer with the lowest cost. And now if you focus on lower cost, maybe you are able to do it with a lot of people, less than before, because total automation can rethink about the way that we produce and the way we distributors. And this is a key factor. It's key factor also the sustainability. As I said before, it's key factor the risk management in operation, like how to do reshoring, how to create a supply chain that is able to be resilience to the external event, and also this end-to-end visibility, digitalization, the blockchain. Now the idea is that we are able to track everything in real time and also take decision based on real data and not just based on the experience. This is something that will be very important. And for the customer and the other stakeholders, the customer wants to be a company that is ready to serve on time and in a proper way, in a sustainability way. The government also, they can set some rule that will change the operation, like the European with the New Deal, and also other factor, other government, they can change what is going on, and also investor, they play an important role. I've been in Florence like 2 months ago in a summit, EP summit, hosted by my old professor Riccardo Rinaldi, where I see what is important, the fashion and the IT, the blockchain, to have an idea of every product, because we have to know the raw material, where it's come from. And this is, for me, a lot of factors that are going to change the operation and change very quickly. We talk now that is almost the past. It's not even the current, because, as I said before, we are going faster and faster, and we move quicker and quicker.
Mhm.
No, definitely. Thanks for sharing, Ricardo. And I would say let's go to the next Paolo here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess another question which is related maybe is about stakeholders, and I guess who is relevant for who is really if you want not only relevant but driving the evolution of these value chains. And do you see, for example, more pressure coming from let's say clients and customers, or more pressure coming from investors?
Both in different way. I see the customer, they are putting pressure, but there is a way to buy. And then it's different region by region, but there is a block of
Yeah.
customer belonging to the same region that want to buy in some way, and there are block that there are different sensibility. I see a lot of investment also on the big company to try to preserve the control of this new technology, because
Yeah.
this new technology, and it's important because they also destroy some barrier, because now there are even new competitors that can arrive, because the barrier of AI is a barrier that you can get the same level of output even if you are a new newcomer compared on other technology in the past that you
Yeah.
have to be also a user. So this is also important. And on the other hand, there is also, if I say, something that is quite also natural in this evolution. I listened to a podcast of Professor O'Neill that was talking about reservation, that is a myth, that is something that is innate on supply chain, where, for example, US, it's more linked to Mexico and Canada that far away, Germany is more
Yeah.
linked to it. And this is something also that is not, it's, I will say, not influenced by the stakeholders, not influenced by the investor, but influenced by the nature of the supply chain and
The context.
the context. And it's very interesting because it's true that naturally we are going to this kind of globalization, no matter
Yeah.
what happened, but there is like a path that look natural.
And in the recent years, Riccardo, in your sector, or in other sectors, have you seen, for example, interesting projects of a value chain restructuring, and maybe, one that piqued your attention that you would like to speak about?
Some restructure of our supply chain for me was
Like a major reorganization.
I think that the things that was more impacted was the COVID was the moment where we stopped to do monosourcing.
I see.
Because that was the culture to try to create a relationship that was most based on cost effective. So try to do saving. Saving was the word. And then we discovered that it was quite fragile and a global supply chain based on one supplier. So we go to the multi-sourcing. And we don't go so fast because then they have the energy crisis. And in my business, for example, there was the parfum business. It is a very energivore business. So for the
Yeah.
first time, there was a rupture on the supply chain of the glass, of bottled glass, that never happened before, because there was not a lot of player on this business, and the energy was so high that they don't reach to produce as they want. So I think that these two events unpredictable, but that there wasn't already in a system that was ready to this. They are changing, and now we have multi-sourcing and new approach in collaboration. You don't have also only to be somebody that have the norm, that have the law. You
Yeah.
have somebody ready to share information. It's something that sometimes, in my experience in small enterprise, when I was in the university, I find that it was something that was not in the culture, the idea to share information because somebody maybe can steal my information. No, the important is to save the data to avoid somebody stealing, but you have to share information. And was not like this 10.
No, sharing information definitely, together with integration, a recurring topic in this, across episodes, and it's really becoming important. I would say crucial, and maybe also, putting organization into a new cultural paradigm. It is not like keeping information for myself because I'm concerned about to share, but it's like stepping up because we are sharing. So cultural like step moving forward, Paolo. So I would say before we close, I would ask Riccardo about to share, guessing you have not the crystal ball, but what's your vision? What do you see in the next like 5-7 years, on, the landscape, of this globalization on your sector, about technologies, about maybe like, these trends, what do you see? What do you think, most impactful like drivers will be here, like to change the game?
The crystal ball is always cloudy.
Yeah.
It's complicated to see. But I would say that definitely what we say before, there's something that will remain. Seriously, what will remain is new contests. So we will continue to have emerging country, easier that will be driven more and more the economy. That will be also the new energy mix. I think that this will be something that we also will be maybe the creation of the independence of energy of a district, of a block. I think that will be something more and more important. And then I will say we continue to IT. So the point was for me maybe what happened with the company. So big company have investors that are able uh, to buy IT, to buy invest a lot in order to keep this position in the market. But there is also the new IT barrier, as I said before, that maybe will give an help to the startup to increase the average of the startup, because now 90% of startup don't pass the first year on IT. The percentage it's they stay also after 5 years, but not every startup is go there. But maybe in the future, also with the new organization of IT, maybe there will be different size of big company. We see we don't have anymore the big company with thousand of people. Maybe there will be new work that will destroy, but new works will appear, and also maybe new startup that will appear, and they give you also an opportunity not only to big city like today, but also to average city to have a play to do a new industrialization. Not based on a lot of people, but based on a lot of high density. So this is something that I think that will happen. So that if city are able to be well linked, that they have a good network, IT network, they are able to
Yeah.
payroll. This is something that will happen. Also because people who want to work, don't want to live anymore in a big city, will try to do restoring also of the people that want to back back home. And, this is something like sustainability, as I said before, they will be really a mantra. And also the goal. I think one important thing that I'm waiting that I believe that even the PR, the public administration, will have a real evolution today, because all the system have to move at the same path. We cannot have a gap. We are reducing gap in every way. So I think that in the future there will be much more P&A that will be involved in the way of working the same of the company, more data driven. Thanks of the new IT, maybe they will become more efficient without less impact to change the organization, because it will be more easy than it was maybe before. And then also because public administration in several cases manage also company of water, of the waste business. So it's really important that in this evolution, public and private try to move forward in the same direction, if we want to have a regional block that is able to be more wealthy than the other. That I think is the goal. Not became the king of the world, but became our region for cultural point of view, for industrial point of view, for work-life balance, for right, for all of this stuff will be the place to be.
I think not a crystal ball, but definitely clear ideas.
Yeah, and yeah, I agree. And actually, you made a point that wasn't made by others in the podcast, which is, I guess, this link with also the role of public administrations, which is an interesting link, and I agree, kind of relevant for, I guess, regional agendas and kind of regional plots. So, thank you for that. Riccardo, we are running out of time, but it was super interesting listening your ideas and thoughts. So thank you for sharing your experience and vision, and congratulations for the good work you are doing out there in Paris on global value chains. Thank you for
Thank you,
joining us.
Thanks,
Paolo,
Riccardo.
Francesco. Thank you for having me. It was a really
Nice day.
great pleasure.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed this discussion, we invite you to like and share this episode on your social media. Enjoy the rest of your day.